So here's what we're going to do today. It's an action-packed day, and I've just wasted 5 minutes fiddling, but sorry about that. We're going to start by looking at the calendar and the degree requirements. Then we're going to look at strategies for selecting courses. This afternoon, we have lunch with professors. We have a number of professors of first-year courses who are coming with us to lunch, so make sure that you make a point of going and talking to at least one of them. It's just a great exercise for you. And by the end of one of these sessions, maybe I can come up with some questions that you can ask of the prof, just as an opportunity to break the ice and go up and talk to somebody. You'll also meet upper year students who are much easier to talk to than professors, but really try and make a point of doing it. This afternoon, we have a session on money matters, and Daniela will also be talking to you about how to use Acorn, which is a student web service. And then the day ends with an option of either going to a session on professional faculties and preparations for professional faculties, or an introduction to the University of Toronto library system. So here we go. This session again is a session about the calendar and degree requirements. The calendar is basically the official document for the University of Toronto, for the Faculty of Arts and Science, and how you're going to complete your degree requirements. But I did want to start with a few general introductory words. And I think I would start by saying our population this year is made up of approximately half Canadian citizens. About 1/6 of our students this year will be permanent residents, and a little bit over a third of our students are international students. Our students come from over 40 countries, and there will be about 500 first-year students at Innis this year. You heard Sarah say in the introduction this morning that there's almost 90,000 students in the University of Toronto, and it's 3 campuses. The Faculty of Arts and Science is the faculty that you have joined, and it is the largest faculty, and it has about 26,000 full-time students. So again, bigger than many towns and cities in Canada. It is divided up into 7 colleges, as you know, because you chose one of them and you chose Innis. And Innis is one of the smallest colleges with about 2,000 students in it. So Innis, like every college, is a home base for students in the Faculty of Arts and Science, and a place where you can go when you need some help. And so the aim in this slide is not to overwhelm you, but to let you know, we know you've joined a large academic community. It's got unparalleled breadth and scope. We have over 2,000 courses a year. We have over 300 different programs to study in. There's a lot that we offer to help you learn. And also we recognize that you're here to learn because you intend to apply that learning, either while you're studying or after you've studied and intend to perhaps get a job, or perhaps both. But I just want you to know that while you're studying here, it can be exciting and intimidating and challenging. And did I say exciting? Exciting. You're going to feel the crosswinds between academic disciplines, between communities of people, and you will witness the ricocheting of ideas and experiences among the students that you meet. Most importantly, I'm going to stress, you're not doing this alone. You've joined a supportive academic community that wants you to succeed. And the Registrars Office is a critical part of that community. We can help you with coming up with strategies for choosing courses and programs. One of the things we'll be doing this morning, for instance. We can help you iron out academic and financial and administrative details through the year. We help students adjust to new learning styles because it's a big switch from high school to university. And often we help students juggle their personal and work priorities along with their academic commitments. And students from the point at which they join arts and science to the point at which they graduate will wonder, what am I going to do with this degree? And we talk with a lot of students about that as well. The Registrar's Office sees approximately 1,000 discrete students in one-to-one appointments a year. So we see about half of our student population every year in appointments in our office. We're a reliable first stop for accurate information and sound advice in an atmosphere of trust, confidentiality, and comfort. There are online resources that can help as well, but we'd like you to think of us as a reliable first stop. Why? Because we're custodians of a lot of information about registration and enrollment, fees and funding, rules and regulations, and petitions and appeals. And we're also custodians of your information, your student record. And we do take our accountability to you very seriously, but we also really enjoy helping people. And that's why we work in the Registrar's Office. So consider us when you're looking for some assistance. We can help you connect to answers, reflect on options, project solutions, and create opportunities to excel. So if you're looking for help to solve a problem of a personal or academic nature, or overcome a financial difficulty, or to formulate short or long-term goals, or even to figure out how to apply your learning outside of the classroom, with our accumulated experience of the Faculty of Arts and Science and of individual students in the faculty, we can help you explore options. So that's a little bit of an introduction to the Registrar's Office. At Innis, there's also an Office of Student Life. There's a student peer mentoring program. There's an alumni mentoring program. There's resident staff and dons. We have learning strategists to help you out. We have a career educator who comes on campus for a few hours a week, as well as an international student advisor. And we have a library and a writing center. It doesn't stop there. The Registrar's Office has created a couple of resources, online resources, that we've created with students. So the Registrar's Office uses students a fair bit. Chow is the guy who, for instance, set up this Google Hangout for us. But we also have a site called Ask a Student, which you might be familiar with. Perhaps you've used it. It gets about 175,000 hits a year, and we receive about 150 questions a year. Innis happens to be the host of Ask a Student at UToronto. Fast Forward is a site that hosts, we invite alumni to fill out a profile and say what they did in the class and outside of the class and what they're doing now, and some advice for undergraduate students, things that they wish they knew when they were in your spot. So that's Fast Forward. And then you may also have heard about, through Denise's messages, the U of T Starter Kit, which is a whole bunch of helpful information to help students prepare for starting in September, again, created by students here at Innis. And this is also the videos that you were watching this morning before we started the session were created by and are uploaded on this student site called the Starter Kit. Okay. So yes, there's more help. The departments, as you will discover in a few minutes, you'll all be working in academic programs, and those departments are there to help you as well. And there's also something called the Sydney Smith Commons, which is just down the street, which offers things like, I'm really just pointing this out to you because I want you to know that there's all these resources available. You certainly don't need to know this now. The slides will be uploaded. If you think, what was that thing called? Oh yeah, recognized study groups. You'll also learn about it, but I just want to give you a sense of how much is available to help students. There's recognized study groups. There's a meet to complete group. These are just opportunities for students to work with other students to get work done, because sometimes working alone can be a little bit challenging. There's a global cafe, and there's peer perspectives. So these things are available to students. More generally at U of T, I just happened to put these resources up in alphabetical order. But again, just so you know, there's an Academic Success Center, there's accessibility services, there's the Center for Community Partnerships, Center for International Experience, the departments in academic programs, which I've already talked about, First Nations House, Health and Wellness, and libraries. But I will end this introduction by pointing out that diversity and equity are fundamental values here at the university, and they are supported by policies and resources for an inclusive environment that constantly works against discrimination. All right. That's my introduction. Now we're going to talk about the Faculty of Arts and Science and how you fit into it. Again, this is just to throw some stuff at you. Don't need to take all this in. I just want you to know that don't be alarmed when you notice that there's things that might be a little confusing to you, because it is confusing to everyone. For instance, people will say 100 series courses, which actually is also 100 level courses, which is actually first year courses. People will talk about ANS. They'll also talk about FAS, and both of those things are the Faculty of Arts and Science. You'll hear something about first-year foundations, which come in varieties. There's first-year foundation seminars, there's first-year foundations 1s programs. Acorn is the student web service, which until a few years ago was called Rosie. So upper year students might still call it Rosie, but they're talking about Acorn. Subject posts are programs of study. Elect is a lecture. Cancel is pretty much the same as drop. And my favorite is the fall-winter session, which is actually made up of the fall session and the spring session. So there's no sense in trying to explain how spring is winter is a term, but you'll catch on. it's a little overwhelming from a bird's eye view. Once you're here, you won't even think twice about this, but I just wanted to draw it to your attention. Also, these things are quite different. Breadth requirements are something you will have to do, and you'll see for almost every course something about a distribution requirement. It's for students from years ago. That is a hang-on that is still lingering in the calendar, not for you to worry about. We talk about credit and courses. I'll talk about this a little more. Again, remember canceling and dropping? Well, that's actually different from withdrawing, and there's actually two types of withdrawals. There's a WDR and an LWD. And like I said, there's term and session. All will be revealed. I just want you to realize if at some point you're confused, just raise your hand. I'll answer the question as we go. Don't sit with something thinking, what was that? I'm just happy to answer as we go along. Got it? Okay, moving on. Your degree is going to give you breadth of knowledge. It's going to give you depth of knowledge. And it's also going to give you competencies in learning and applying your learning. You can read the slide. I won't linger on it, but I just want you to know there's a fair bit of thought that's gone into the preparation of the degree that you're going to complete. And sorry, I can't move that, but this says integration of skills and learning. Okay. I talked about applying learning, and I've mentioned it a few times now. So I do want to say just another word about applying learning before we talk about degree requirements. There are all sorts of opportunities available to students. Yes, you will be studying, but you will also get a chance to apply your learning in various ways. Some of these are outside of the classroom, but all of these on this slide are basically part of degree credits. There are upper year or capstone courses. So as you move through a program, by the time you get to fourth year, you're doing a capstone course, which is where you get to integrate your own skills with your learning, often working with a prof and maybe a few students on a particular project that's of unique interest to you. There's also independent study where it's just you and a professor working together. Sometimes on your research and sometimes on the professor's research because you are wildly interested in it. There are internships. So in courses like in urban studies, there's an upper year course where students work 8 hours a week as an intern in City Hall or in a number of other locations. Plus those students gather once a week to discuss what's happening. There's service learning in courses, in earlier courses. So in second year, there might be some service learning components to a course where you go out and volunteer or do some sort of service learning as part of your course, and you discuss this again in your class as part of your learning. There's field courses in some science courses. We're in downtown Toronto, but this does work as a sort of a laboratory. So students might go to the Humber River or the Don River, or heck, just do walking tours of the city. There are laboratories, obviously in chemistry, studios in some art courses. There's research opportunity programs in second year. So if you're a second year student, it's helpful to know that the number of departments offer these research opportunities where, again, a small number of students, usually a handful, sometimes just one or two, will work with a professor. This is when you're in second year on their research. And they make this research opportunity available to students as a degree credit. I've talked about service learning and community involvement. Study elsewhere. So sometimes a student will decide to study for a half a year or even a full year somewhere else in the world. We have something like over 50 arrangements with universities around the world to do study elsewhere. There's also summer study abroad with something like almost 20 universities where students will go off for the summer and take a course elsewhere for degree credit. And sometimes a course will just do an internationalized course module where for reading week, a prof will take some students to like New York. Oh, and also you can't see this one because it's covered, but it's the professional experience year program where students work for 12 to 16 months in between, usually their third and fourth year, sometimes between their second and third year. Students in computer science will often do a professional experience year. I've seen students in commerce do a professional experience year, and occasionally in the life sciences. So basically it's an opportunity to work for 12 to 16 months and then come back to school. And these are arranged through the university. It's a little like co-op. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, then we're going to head into the degree requirements. So this is the academic calendar of the Faculty of Arts and Science. And perhaps the most helpful thing is the program areas, A to Z, where basically you think of a program, you check it out alphabetically, and you look into it. So if you wanted to see, let's see, I mentioned, okay, you could go to human biology, or you could go to Innis College, but we'll take human biology for a minute. And then you basically look at what programs they offer within human biology, and you click on them and you get the course requirements. We will talk more about this in a few minutes, but I just wanted to draw your attention to the academic calendar and the degree requirements, because this is what I'm going to talk about in detail for the rest of this session. These are the degree requirements. You need to have 20 courses. You can have no more than 6 at the 100 level and 6 at the upper level. You have to complete program requirements. You need to have a specific cumulative grade point average to graduate, and you have to complete breadth requirements. We're going to go through these one by one, and I'm going to use them as opportunities to talk about other details in the Faculty of Arts and Science as we go. But this is the page I'm talking about. So it's the academic calendar under degree requirements. I've broken it out in my slides. So basically, we're going to look at the 4 things that are numbers first, the 20 courses. Then we're going to look at the no more than 6 100 series courses. Then we're just going to talk about the 6 300 series courses. And we're going to talk about the cumulative grade point average, then programs, and then breadth. Then a few tips at the end, and we're done. 20 credits. So remember I had that slide with the synonyms and not so synonymous things, and I included courses and credits. Well, we have courses, but they are worth credits. So credits is a weight. So we have courses, credits, and FCEs, or full course equivalents. So you sign up for courses, but you actually sign up for courses that are full courses or half courses. And a full course gives you 1 credit or 1 full course equivalent, and half courses give you a half credit or a half full course equivalent. Typically, students take 5 full courses a year, but that could be or 10 half courses, or any combination of full and half courses. So basically 5 courses in first term or fall term, and 5 courses in the second term or the spring term. I'll talk more about this. I'm seeing some, maybe this squinting from the bright lights, and maybe we're confused. Do we have a question yet? We're good? Okay. Yes. Will one of the courses be full credit, did you ask? In the life sciences, probably not, but we're going to get to that. So please ask the question again. If you have you found a full credit course? Okay, so give it a few minutes, and then if I haven't answered the question, be sure to ask it again. Okay, great. This requirement is for upper year students. Remember, you have to have at least 6 courses at the 300 or 400 series. In first year, you take 100 series courses. In second year, you might take 100 and 200 series courses. So the higher the number, the harder the course. So 300 and 400 is for third and fourth year students. Okay. So we don't need to linger on this one, but we will need to talk about this one. First year students can take a maximum of 6 100 series courses. Now, that's 6.0 credits. So that could be 12 half courses, but 6 is your maximum. Okay? Is there anyone in the room who has transfer credits from high school, say IBs or APs? Okay. So when you're counting your 6 100 series courses, be sure that you count do you have IBs or APs? Okay. So I'm thinking that, does this link look familiar to you, where the advanced placement in the Faculty of Arts and Science, does that sheet look familiar to you? Yes, that part. Good. So was there anyone else in the room with transfer credits from high school? Okay. So if you're good with that, just remember to include those courses in your 6. Oh, those APs, you will have gotten a letter that says you have them as transfer credits. Did you not get a letter? Did you get a letter saying that you got transfer credits for your AP work? So have you gotten a letter saying that when you get the scores, you need to send them in and you'll get some transfer credits? Okay, then we will talk at the end of this session. Great. If you do get transfer credits, then you need to keep in mind that when you 6 is the maximum, you have to include the transfer credits you get for AP work. Okay, we'll talk at the end, yeah. Anybody getting transfer credits from another university? Anyone transferring in from another university? Okay, so then this slide has to do with students transferring in from another university, so we don't need to worry about this one either. All right. If you decide to take more than 6 100 series courses because there are courses that you really like, or perhaps you started in life sciences and you realized, life sciences isn't for me, I'd like to now study another area, and you need to take more 100 series courses to study in that area, you can take more 100 series courses beyond the 6. It's just that anything beyond the 6 needs to be designated extra. Okay, so you would take it in order to get it into a program, but as an extra course, it would not count as one of your 20 because it will have an XTR written beside it. It wouldn't be included in your grade point average because it's not counted as your one of your 20 degree credits, but you can still use it to fulfill breadth requirements, which we will talk about, and program requirements, which we will talk about. So these are actually the next 3 things that we're going to talk about in this presentation. So if everybody is good with the 100 series courses, we'll keep going. Okay. So remember that degree requirement that says you have to have a 1.85 in order to graduate with an honors bachelor degree? Well, this is what we're going to talk about now. When you take a course, you get a percentage grade. And if it's a 50, it's a pass, and that gives you a credit. That also is called final standing in the course. And that percentage grade will correspond to a letter grade. And the letter grade is going to convert to a grade point value. And then from the grade point value, we calculate grade point averages. Oh, it's so exciting. Let me explain. Let me explain by showing you this. This is the grade calendar. This is a table of grades. You can read this table from left to right, but you can't read it from right to left. It doesn't make as much sense. So you take a course, and let's say you get a 79 in the course. That's the percentage grade you get in the course. And then that percentage grade on your transcript is also converted to a letter grade. So you'll get a 79, but you'll also get a B+. Now that B+ is actually equivalent in grade point value. That's a 3.3. And when you take, let's say, 5 half courses or 10 half courses, all of those courses get a percentage grade and a letter grade, and the letter grade also has a grade point value, and from that they calculate a grade point average for you. So basically, if all of your courses are B+, your cumulative grade point average is going to be a 3.3. That's easy. But what I want to point out to you is within this graph, first of all, okay, 50 is a pass. This is kind of obvious, but and then I have like 5 more slides that look just like this, but I've moved the bar. What I want to point out is, let's take the B+. It's a 3.3. If you get a 79, you get a B+, you get a 3.3. If you get, do you see that within the B range, it goes up by 0.3 grade points. But when it jumps from one letter to the next letter, it goes up by 0.4 grade points. Where's my cursor? So a 79 is a 3.3, but an 80 is a 3.7. A 59 is a 1.3, but a 60 is a 1.7. So you get an extra grade point between letter grades. Also, within the aim, oh yeah, that's still a 3. Okay. So it's a drag when you get a 79 or a 69, because if you got a 70 or an 80, you'd get more bonus points. Make sense? Okay. I should probably tell you, most instructors know about this, and it's kind of mean-spirited to give somebody a 79 or a 69. So often you will either get something more like the 77 or an 80. I see very few professors who actually hand students a mark that ends in a 9. So a 79 is usually an 80. Okay. Okay. To be in good standing in the Faculty of Arts and Science and continue in good standing, you need to have a 1.5 grade point average. What the heck is a 1.5? It's somewhere between a 59 and a 60. But again, it's grade point value, so it's reflective of cumulative work. So like a 1.5, as you see, you can't read from right to left. You can't turn that 1.5 into a specific grade. You just need to sort of be doing better than a 60. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. In order to graduate, you need a 1.85. Again, doesn't correspond to a specific letter grade, but it falls somewhere in the C range. When a student graduates, they can graduate with distinction if they have a cumulative grade point average of over a 3.2. Well, between a 3.2 and a 3.49. If you have a 3.5 or higher, you get to graduate with distinction, with high distinction. And if you get a 3.5 or higher as you pass your 5th, 10th, and 15th course in the Faculty of Arts and Science, you're a Dean's Scholar. So, any questions yet? Seriously, we're all good? All right. Then I see no sense in lingering on things like probation and suspension and refused further registration, because clearly you're all here to do well and this won't happen. So we'll move on. Okay, there's 2 things left to discuss: programs and breadth requirements. So in the Faculty of Arts and Science, every student is expected to choose a combination of programs towards their degree. And when do you choose these? After you've taken 4.0 courses in the Faculty of Arts and Science. So really, most students, after their first year, need to choose a program of study. And if you don't choose a program of study, you actually won't be allowed to choose courses in your second year. So it's kind of important. Many of you have been asked when you applied to the university what you're interested in studying. That was your program of study. And we have it recorded, but really it puts you into an admission stream, but no one is committing you to what you said. If you said you were going to study neuroscience and you decide now that you would like to study global health, totally fine. Whatever you said at that point doesn't really matter now. What matters is that you find a program that interests you, you take the courses in first year that will get you into that program, and you enjoy what you're doing. That's basically what we need to do here. When you're doing programs, we have 3 types of programs. We have specialists, majors, and minors. And you have to satisfy a certain combination. You can either do 1 specialist, and a specialist is between like 10 and 16 courses out of your 20 courses. Or you can do 2 majors, or you can do 1 major and 2 minors. And a major is about 6 to 8 courses, and all of our minors are 4 courses. So more and more students these days are doing 2 majors. And many students are doing a major in a science and a major in an arts program. So I'm not saying that this is the combination that someone would do, but they might do a major in cell and systems biology and a major in French. And actually, at that point, you might ask, do you get an honors Bachelor of Arts or an honors Bachelor of Science? And if you're actually doing 2 majors, one is an arts and one's a science, you actually get to choose what your degree is called. Not surprising, almost everybody chooses to call it a Bachelor of Science. But this is the basic part. Are we okay to go on? Yes, and then yes. Go ahead. The question is, can we do 1 specialist and a major? And the answer is yes. What you see here is minimum requirements. So you can indeed do 1 specialist and 1 major. In fact, you can borrow some courses from your specialist towards your major. So you could do a specialist and a major and a minor. 3 is the maximum that you can do, and you can't actually do, well, you could do 2 specialists, but it's almost impossible to do it in 20 courses. Does that answer your question? Go ahead. Do the courses all have to be full credit? Do you mean where I've written 10 to 16 courses? No. In fact, as I may have mentioned early on, more and more of our courses in the Faculty of Arts and Science are half courses. So in that case, for the specialist, if the specialist happens to be a 10-course specialist, that could be 20 half courses. So actually, point well taken. That should say credits instead of courses. Thank you. I'll fix the slide before I upload it, because we will upload our slides to the website. Great point. And yes, go ahead. Definitely. The question was, do minors that are specific to colleges count towards this? And thank you. It gives me a great opportunity to say something. And that is, I said at the beginning that there's about 300 different programs in the Faculty of Arts and Science. Each of the 7 colleges actually contribute some of those programs. So because you chose writing and rhetoric as an example, I will use it as well, since it happens to be a program here at Innis. So Innis has created writing and rhetoric and urban studies. Urban studies was the first interdisciplinary program in the Faculty of Arts and Science, created back in 1976 by Innis. So Innis contributes those to arts and science. You don't have to be an Innis student to take it. Any student in arts and science could choose to do a minor. I will also point out, since you chose writing and rhetoric, that writing and rhetoric is one of the few programs that only comes as a minor. So you could choose to do that minor, and you could do it with another minor and a major, or you could just do a specialist and add this as a minor. Good? Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, go ahead. Wow. So the question was, what's the price difference between a specialist and a major? There's not a price difference between a specialist and a major. However, and there's a session this afternoon, if you were admitted to commerce or computer science, anybody in the room interested in commerce or computer science? Oh, sorry, commerce and computer science. Okay, these are deregulated programs, and not if you know this, that you pay after first year. Computer science and commerce have higher tuition fees. Did you know this? Okay, yeah. That's where there's a financial difference. Just if you are in computer science or if you're in commerce. If you're in arts and sciences and taking a regulated program, the thing about regulated programs is that everybody pays the same amount of money. So a specialist is not more expensive than a major. Okay, good. Shall we continue? Okay, here we go. If you're interested in looking into programs, you will choose these programs at the end of your first year. And there is a handy program toolkit on the Sydney Smith Commons, which I'll just open and show you. And then it's on the Sydney Smith Commons, and it looks like this program toolkit. And it's got a lot of helpful information. So again, these slides will be uploaded and the links will be active if you want to look at that. Okay, this is a brief aside. I keep saying that you choose programs after first year, and I've talked about first year being year of having X number of courses. I just wanted you to know, when the faculty talks about year of study, a first year student is a student who has between 0.5 and 3.5 courses. So everyone in the room is a first year student, because only one student mentioned transfer credits as APs, and we don't have them yet, and you will not have more than 2. So everybody's a first year student. You're a second year student if you have between 4 courses and 8.5 courses, and then third and fourth you can read for yourself. But basically, in first year, most students take, as I mentioned, 5 courses, but you can do 4. And if 4 is too many, you can do 3. But once you've completed 4, you have to choose a program of study. And in fact, if you don't choose a suitable combination of programs, then you actually can't move on. And some programs have particular requirements, and that's what we're going to talk about next. But I just have this slide here about year of study just as a brief aside, just because I've been talking about years of study and I wanted you to know what I was talking about. Okay, so I already mentioned that every program, I mentioned that there are science programs and there are arts programs. every program identifies itself as whether it's counting towards an arts or a science or a commerce degree. And I mentioned that if you do 2 majors and one of them is in the arts and one of them is in the sciences, that you can choose whether your degree is a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. And also, if you do 1 major and 2 minors and want an honors Bachelor of Science, either the major or both of the minors have to be science. So that's a slide that, again, you can visit if this detail matters to you. Oh, there's one other detail. And again, just to draw your attention to it, it matters much more later, but you have to have 12 distinct credits in your combination of 2 majors. So remember the student who asked if you could do a specialist and a major, and I said, oh, you can count some of your courses from your specialist to your major. If you're doing 2 majors, you can't have like all of the courses the same in the 2 majors. Like you can't do 2 majors in human biology, like global health and health of disease, because they're too similar. You'd need 12 separate courses in those 2 majors. That's what that rule is about. Okay. I'm sure that you for sure courses. Yes, go ahead. It's not that they're too similar. It's that, okay, I'll use an example. You're in first year. Let's say, are you going into sciences? Okay, so let's say you're going to take biology, chemistry, and math. And let's say you're thinking of, shall we say, neuroscience? Okay, but let's also say that you're looking at cell and systems biology. Both of those programs in first year require the bio, the chemistry, and the math. So it's not that they're similar. You can use the exact same courses to count towards both programs. But then after that, if you're doing, let's say you do bio 120 and 130, a full course, you do the chemistry 135 and 136, and let's just give you the math 135 and 136. That's 3 courses, 3.0 credits already towards a program that, say, has 8 in it. So there's 5 left to get to 8, right? And in the other program, you've already got 3, and there's 5 left to get to 8. So 5 and 5 is 10, plus the 3 that are in the same program bring you to 13. You're over 12. You're good. Make sense? Everyone good with that? Wow. My explanation was that good. Okay. I'm going to take the smiles and keep going. I have this slide up because I want people to know that there's something called a language citation in the Faculty of Arts and Science. Again, you can check my link out later. This takes you to the calendar, but we have over 40 language programs in the Faculty of Arts and Science, and many of them offer you a language citation. This is different from a program of study, but if you take 2 upper level language courses beyond an introductory course, you can ask for a language citation to be put on your transcript. And I think this is a pretty cool thing, since so many of our students speak another language. And sorry, my screen just went dead. Well, you can. There, that was the language. Yes, go ahead. Yes. So I think I understand what you're saying, and that's a nice segue to my next point. Let's go back and use the example of our bio, our chemistry, and our, what else did we take? Math. And let's say you're applying to a specialist in toxicology. And they don't admit everybody who says they want to do a specialist in toxicology. They use a minimum requirement. They will never use a cumulative grade point average requirement. They will use minimum grades in particular courses. Got it? Okay. And I happen to use, did I say toxicology? But this happens in a number of different programs. In the humanities, it also happens. And that program toolkit will explain to you that there are programs that you can get into that have no limits on their enrollment. Anybody can take the course, the program, and there are programs that do have limits. Right now, they're called Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3. But by next April, when you're applying to programs, it is most likely the case that we will have gotten rid of Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, which is quite confusing, and we will just have limited and unlimited programs. in any case, there will still be requirements to get into specific programs. So if we were to look at a program like Urban Studies, and if we have time, because I have 5 minutes left and I want to talk about breadth requirements, but if we have time, we can go back and look at an example of a program if that would help people in the room. We still good? Shall I keep going? Okay. So these are the examples that we will come back to if we have time. But I want to talk for a minute about the breadth requirement. And this is our last requirement. So every student, in addition to completing programs, has to complete the breadth requirement. Every course includes, every course description includes the breadth category of the course, including a few that say no breadth category, but they're very few. So all of the courses fall into either creative and cultural representations, or thought, belief, and behavior, or society and its institutions, or living things in their environments, or the physical and mathematical universes. You can figure out what's, like, again, where these courses are going to be. And some of them are full courses, like Anthro 100 is still a full course rather than half course. And it actually has 2 breadth distinctions attached to it. So if you were to look at Anthro, you would see that it covers 2 of these categories, not 1. Why is that significant? Because in order to complete the breadth requirement, you need to have 1 full credit from 4 of those 5 categories that I just named, or you need 1 full credit from 3 of the categories I named and a half credit from the remaining 2 categories. Clear? Yeah. I'm going to say now, there's a really helpful resource called Degree Explorer. And Degree Explorer is one of the handiest tools that the Faculty of Arts and Science offers. Degree Explorer basically allows you to plan your entire degree out, because it pops in all of these degree requirements as well as the programs that you choose, and it tells you how close you are to completing your degree. So it will also say, oh, you're in sciences and you've just completed already some of your breadth requirements, because some of them are living things in their organisms because you're doing biology. Or, you know, you're taking an English course and that's creative and cultural representations. So you've completed 2 of the 4 full courses. Degree Explorer is a tool that was actually designed by 2 Innis students about, I think it's 8 years ago now, who presented it to the University of Toronto. The University of Toronto thought it was such a cool tool that basically they developed it for the entire Faculty of Arts and Science. And it is now Degree Explorer on the ribbon, on the Acorn ribbon. And I can't stress enough that this is a really helpful tool to familiarize yourself with early on. You can even do some of your own timetable scheduling with it if you would like. But basically, it has all of the degree requirements. You can put in hypothetical programs and say, how far along am I in this program? So Degree Explorer, great tool. Yes.
Let's say your 3rd year, you have to think back and think, oh, I took this course, do I have this? Or is there some sort of software?
This is the software. Degree Explorer is the software. You bet. Yeah, it'll say you've done 3 of the 4. But having said that, let me say, some students think, oh my gosh, I have to get all my breadth requirements done in 1st year. That is completely not the case. I'm about to tell you that there are some neat courses that have that might not be in your area of study, but in your area of interest that would satisfy breadth requirements. And it's going to sound like I'm saying, take it because it's a breadth requirement. That's great. If you're a humanities student who's interested in taking a 1st-year foundation at Innis, that the principal talked about, in cryptology, which is a math course, because you will have a breadth requirement in math, which puts you ahead. But don't take it because it's a breadth requirement. Take it because this sounds like an interesting course that you'd really like to take. You got 4 years to do the breadth requirements, and somewhere along the way, you'll manage to fill them up. Okay. Oh, there, I mentioned the 1st-year foundations, and I think any question about breadth? Because if not, this is going to prepare you for the next session, but I am going to read a course description quickly. Ciao. Oh, sorry, you think I would have seen that earlier. Thank you. What course did I say we were going to read? Oh, crap. Oh yeah, 135. So let's read Chemistry 135. Sorry, I'm in I'm in the calendar, and I chose a course that has lots of details attached to it. So we're just going to read a course because this will help you for the next session. Chemistry 135 has a title, and it's called Chemistry: Physics Principles. The first three letters are the department, chemistry. The next three letters, 135, is the number for the course. In chemistry and in math, a number that is lower is a course that is slightly easier than a number that is higher. This is not the case in most departments. So in English, a course that's called English 120 is not easier than English 140. But here, I'm telling you, Chemistry 135 and 136 happens to be easier than Chemistry 151, which is really more for students who dream about chemistry in their sleep and who are going to do a specialist in chemistry. The same is true in the physics. And in the math, the 157 is really, it's just all theory of math, whereas the 135, the 136 is more working with numbers and learning about the theory. So this course happened to be called Chemistry 139 before. Hours, 39L, 12T, 18P. This is a half course, and this course is either offered in first term or in second term, but in a half course, we have 12 weeks. So 12 weeks that go from middle of September through until December, or 12 weeks that go from January through until April. So there's 12 weeks in the term, and 12 times 3 is 36. So you basically know from here that this course has is going to have 3 lectures a week, 3 hours of lecture a week. So that could be an hour on 3 days, or it could be one day with 3 hours in it. But three hours a week, there's going to be a lecture. Then 12T, and there's 12 weeks in the year. This is 12 tutorials. There's a tutorial for an hour a week in this course. Then there's 18P. Okay, it's chemistry, so I happen to know that this 18P is actually, this is 6 practicals divided up as 3 hours. So every second week, there's going to be a practical in this course for 3 hours. Okay? Not all courses are this complicated. Yes. A tutorial is where you are working groups of about 30 students with a graduate student who is a tutorial assistant who basically helps review things from the lecture. Whereas a practical is where you're doing laboratories. Got it? Okay. Then there's a description of the course, and then you find out that there's prerequisites for this course. So if anybody's thinking of taking Chemistry 135, you will not want to walk into this course without having chemistry from high school. In fact, you need chemistry. It's a prerequisite. And you also need the math, the functions, and the calculus. Well, if you have the calculus, you automatically have the functions because one was a prerequisite for the other. If you don't have the chemistry from high school and you're planning to take this course, you need to talk to somebody before doing this because it is a prerequisite, and the chemistry course can really move along. Oh, I see the time, Chow. We're almost out. Exclusions mean if you're taking 151, you would already, oh, sorry, I skipped co-requisites. If you're doing the chemistry, you have to also do math 135, and it says and 136 or 137. Then the exclusions, basically you can't take this course if you've got one of these exclusions. Remember the distribution requirement I talked about? You can ignore it. The breadth requirement, though, this is a physical and mathematical universes course. So that's how you read a course listing. It's not that difficult, is it? Okay. Then you know what? We're almost at 2 more slides and then some tips. Credit, no credit is an option available to students in the Faculty of Arts and Science for up to 2.0 credits. That means that if you are interested in taking a course, but you're afraid you won't do well in it, again, let's say you're a humanities student who's really interested in math and want to try it, but you're afraid that your grade won't be too good. You can designate that course as credit, no credit. Also, if you're taking a course and the term isn't going well and the mark is kind of tanking a little bit, but you're not going to fail, but you want the credit anyway, you can also designate it credit, no credit partway through the year. Really, I just want you to know that up to 2 of your courses can be designated credit, no credit. You don't need to use this option. You just need to know that it's available to you if you do. Finally, LWD. If things aren't going super well in a course, know that the Registrar's Office is here to help you. But if the drop date for the course has passed, because you need to drop a course by about 2/3 of the way through the year, in order to have it removed from your record. But if you're not doing well in it after that point, it's still stuck on your record, but you can designate it LWD for late withdrawal. You have to do that in the Registrar's Office, but you can do this for up to 3 courses. So again, know that the Registrar's Office can often help you out with something like this. Okay. Degree Explorer I talked about. Students have responsibilities. That's what this slide says. Go ahead.
Sorry, for no credit, that one?
Credit, no,
Up to 2 credits.
up to 2.0.
And then the late withdrawal is up to 3 courses.
Oh, credits.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, remember that we're your first point of contact. These important dates are actually relevant to your next session. So I think we'll skip this. Oh, this is my last slide. Just remember that help abounds. We're here to help you. Thanks, you guys. I will figure out how to turn this off. But now your next session, if you could look at your program, we're dividing up the next session by your stream, the admission stream. So you'll want to check and see which room you want to be in. Thanks very much.